In this episode, we're going to talk about our take on this whole phenomenon of tidying up with Marie Kondo. It's a Netflix thing.
I'm Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music, and we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level.
That's kind of holy, huh? How you said it.
We're not huge fans to the point where I know how to pronounce the name properly.
But as a Japanese name?
Yeah, but because she's Japanese and her first name is spelled the way it is, I just kind of figure that her name is pronounced Marie. Mm-hmm. But maybe I'm wrong.
I was talking about
Marie
Kondo.
Kondo. Kondo. It should be Kondo. Yeah.
Marie Kondo. So I think you said it like that.
If I can really Japaneseify it. I can say that because I'm Japanese, right? Am I allowed to say that because I'm Japanese?
Say what? Oh,
Japaneseify things. You know, to kind of treat it lightly. Anyway.
Yes, of
Marie-san, Kondo-san. Right?
Yeah.
Or in this case, Kondo-sensei. Because she is the master
Very true.
of this tidying up thing.
Yes.
How did you hear about this Netflix episode?
Well, so my friend WhatsApped me and said, "Have you watched Tidying Up on Netflix? It's magic." So, of course, if I hear magic, I'm all over it. I'm like, "What? Okay, I have to watch it." So I started watching it. And the first time I started, I was a little bit thrown off because Marie Kondo speaks mostly Japanese throughout every episode. She brings with her to the sessions a translator who, while Marie is speaking, the translator is translating. And so it just felt a little chaotic. My ears just had to get used to it. But it did.
I think that's so badass, by the way, that somebody can listen and speak at the same time and translate in progress. I think that's amazing.
Yes. So that's how I heard of the show. And then shortly after I watched the season, I just kept seeing it everywhere on Instagram.
Okay.
So that's what happened. So we got bitten by the tidying up bug. So it's just, so if you haven't seen it, what this show is about is Marie Kondo is an expert in tidying up. Exactly what the show is titled, Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. And
tidying up is a euphemism for getting rid of all of your extra crap. That's what that means, right?
Yes.
Turns out, anyways.
So what she helps to do is she helps people, couples, singles, entire families.
They had a lesbian couple on there.
Yep, they did. They did. They had a lesbian couple. They had a widow. They had a family who just completely depended on the mom to know where everything was.
That's what moms do.
They had a stay-at-home mom who didn't want to do the dishes or the laundry. And so she works with all different kinds of there was a gay couple as well. So a lesbian couple, a gay couple. Every kind of family almost was represented here, which I loved. Mm-hmm. And it also looked as though it was every socioeconomic, every economic background as well. Yeah.
Except the 1%ers.
Except the 1%, right. Because anyways, I was going to say something
that's a whole other topic.
Might not be true, so I won't say it.
Okay.
So she's an expert in helping people take back control of their spaces. In her own method, the Kondo method. KonMari, yep. KonMari method. And she helps you so that it feels a little less overwhelming to do. And she uses a measure of just keeping what sparks joy.
Does it spark a joy?
Yes, exactly that. Keeping what sparks joy. so that your home truly does reflect who you are. And when you come home, you just have this attitude of gratitude and reverence for your home, because everything in it sparks joy.
Okay.
So it cultivates this feeling of thankfulness because you just love everything in your home. And that's amazing, right? To think of that, having that bar be your bar.
Well, I have a question for you, and because you are more of an expert on this method
Well, I'm
than
not
I am.
an expert, but I just
more
watched
than I
every
am.
episode. So
Oh, well, and you did fast forward through some parts, I saw. But anyway, but that's
did
fine.
I fast forward through
No,
parts?
didn't you? Because I know sidebar, when we watch makeover shows like Fixer Upper and stuff like that, a lot of times we'll see the before, right? The first 10 minutes or whatever it is. And then we'll just fast forward to the end so we can just see, okay, what did they do to this space? Cut the drama.
We just want the gratification.
We
want
challenges
immediate
along the way.
gratification.
I just want to see the before and after. So
Well,
I was
you know,
just wondering
okay.
if you did that with this. But I did have a question.
So in this show, I did fast forward through some of the parts that felt very stressful to me.
Okay.
So it wasn't merely to just get to the end.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the stress. Okay, let's remember to do that.
Okay.
So why don't you
Come back to the stress.
What did
But
you
my
wanna
question
say?
is about the
Sparking joy,
no, not sparking joy, about how
how your home reflects who you are.
yeah, your home reflects who you are. Is that what she says?
Yes.
Okay. I guess I have a comment about that, because to me,
Well,
if
okay,
there's a mess in your home, that's who you are at that time. You're kind of mess. You're messy. That is who you are. But I think this process and tidying up in general, or just, getting your crap in shape and stuff like that, right? Taking care of your beep is that's the process of your personal self changing. Mm-hmm. And therefore your outer reflects that as you go along in that process. I'm nitpicking.
Exactly.
nitpicking,
So do
but-
you want to? So if who you are is just a bunch of crap laying around, do you want to be that? No. So you want your home to reflect who you'd like to become, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want
I'm
your
just making up.
environment
Yeah.
to really nurture the person you know you truly are.
Right.
And who you are becoming.
Right.
You want you want your home to inspire you, but let me just correct and say that, but her first thing is really that you're grateful for the things in your home. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you saw throughout the episodes, as well as what I'm guilty of too, is just having so much stuff that you're just like, just whatever. You just have so much stuff that it's hard to feel gratitude in what you have.
Yeah.
Because you have so much of it.
Right.
So how are you grateful for all these things?
Right.
But if you purge, then you're like, yes, I love all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I love what I've whittled down to. Mm-hmm. So let's back up a bit, because I think a lot of people who are listeners maybe haven't seen the show.
Okay.
So in the KonMari method, she believes in attacking your tidying process in stages. And the first stage is to purge your clothing. The second stage is to then move on to your books. The third stage is to deal with papers. And the last stage is miscellaneous. Or she calls it komoro. Am I saying
You're
that
looking
right?
at me like I would know the right term, but I'm
just know
so
that
sorry.
as the
I
dragon.
don't speak Japanese.
Because I know
am
that as a-
Japanese, but I don't speak it.
But I know that as a dragon.
Right. I know,
Right?
right? Okay, the Komodo dragon. Mhm.
Komodo dragon.
I don't know what that is.
So I don't know
Yeah.
how it's also, is it called? Can you look that up? Okay, never mind. Anyways, that's
So
what,
what
the
about-
fourth stage is called.
Okay.
So
What
clothing.
about CDs? Would that go with miscellaneous, or would that maybe that would go with books?
No,
like media?
that's
No?
miscellaneous.
Okay.
So miscellaneous
CDs and
is a pretty huge.
DVDs.
It's a pretty huge category, but But before we jump all the way
Office
to number
supplies.
4, you start with number 1, because clothing, you have to deal with clothing every single day. You get
Yes.
dressed every single day.
Right.
So what is so overwhelming with this stage is she has you take every bit of clothing out. So it's stuff you have hanging up. It's stuff you have in your drawers, and you take everything out and you put it on your bed. And part of the healing process in this is to see all the stuff you have.
Intervention is what
It's to see what you have. And it is just crazy what you have. Like, it's just crazy. So you want that shock value. And what I have to say here is that, first of all, Toast has already been doing the KonMari method from when I first met her. Because one of the things that in part of the clothing process, you are picking up every single piece and going, does this spark joy? And if it's yes, you put it in another pile. And then if no, you thank it, even if you have never worn it. You just thank it because it showed you don't love that style, and therefore you've not worn it. You thank it. Then you put it in the pile to give away, right? But in the pile that you're keeping, the next step is to fold it in this incredibly small little square.
Oh, that's what you're talking about with me
And
doing
then you
this method.
file it.
How funny.
Toast's drawers are so organized. She is like the mega best folder in this world.
I enjoy folding laundry.
And she can fold it in
Enjoy it.
small little tiny things. And we have to take a picture of your drawer because it's incredibly
But you need to
neat.
pick the right drawer, because the drawer with my bulkier knit sweaters, that might look neat. My PJs, my pajamas, clothes. I don't actually have pajamas. I just have beatable T-shirts. That's what my pajamas are. But that's neat. But the
What
drawer
kind of
with
T-shirts?
just beat up old, T-shirts
okay.
that you don't want to,
All right.
wear in public. Beat up old,
But see,
oversized
that probably
T-shirts.
does not spark joy.
Well,
So maybe
it does
it's not
spark
a true
joy.
KonMari method.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I need help with my joy sparkometer.
Yeah.
But the drawer with my regular presentable T-shirts, it looks like it might not be organized, but it is,
Okay.
because I stack my T-shirts in a staggered way. But that's not her method, right? She rolls them up. Getting too far into the weeds.
It's just too much.
Coming back.
Okay, so but part of the clothing process is to make sure that when you are looking at your clothes after you've purged, that you can see everything. You're not having to lift up and dig for the thing. You see it all right there.
You don't forget that you had something
Yes.
because it's hidden way back.
So then the second process after you've purged your clothing is to then move to books. And what you want to do with the books is, again, pull everything off your shelves. Pull it off of the nightstand. Pull it off of wherever all the books are in your home. You bring it to one spot. Okay. And then again, part of the healing process, you're traumatized by how many books you have. And the trauma alone should encourage you to let go of some of these books.
Oh my God.
And part is spark joy, but it really is, is this book helping me to become the person I want to be? Is this book part of how I think today? Is this book part of who I want to be in the future? Are these thoughts in this book? Is the information in this book who I am or who I want to become? That's part of the measure, right? And then if it purely has sentimental value, sentimentality does spark joy, right? Because you're like, oh,
right.
wow.
It almost sparks the most joy. Yeah.
Yes. So then you want to keep that. So that's books. Papers is the third of the four parts to the KonMari method. And papers. Now, this is the one that we haven't done, but I am terrified of.
Let's define papers.
Yes.
Does
papers
it include magazines?
Do papers? No. Papers magazines would be in the miscellaneous.
Okay. What about photo albums?
No.
Or old stacks of old... That's miscellaneous too? Mm-hmm. So papers are things
Papers
like
are literally papers.
your
So if you
old
have papers by your
files,
desk,
like your old
all
utility
your
bills.
files, yep, all your files, or those little stacks of see, like
Journals.
right
What about
now,
journals?
Right now we're in Toast's office, and you see those papers there, and
Those
those
are my
papers
to-dos.
there. Yep. So it's all papers, like, and categorizing your papers.
Okay.
Okay. Papers are hard. Journals, that would be miscellaneous.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
Okay,
a lot.
so a
of
lot goes
miscellaneous.
into miscellaneous.
I don't like when miscellaneous is too much,
So miscellaneous would be
too many things.
I think what she's trying to do though is just make it doable, because I think even if you do clothing, books, and papers, you're so much better off. Right?
Oh yes, yeah, right. True.
However, okay, so that is her method. Okay, so the last
Okay.
section is miscellaneous. So all those things that Toast was asking would be in miscellaneous, as well as dun 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 dun, your kitchen.
Oh,
Kitchen,
yeah,
I
that's
feel,
right.
is a whole, should be its own category, because we deal with our kitchen every single day. But still, throughout this whole thing, with the exception of papers, because papers have a very utilitarian value to them, right? And
Right.
some you just can't escape. I
Right.
don't know if any paper sparks joy unless it's your diploma
Right.
or your whatever. I don't know what it is. Or unless it's your
tax
kid's
return.
unless it's your kid's artwork, right? Because that could be a piece
Right.
of paper
Good one.
in a
That's the
stack
best.
in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So all of these, though, really is about what sparks joy. That is the measure you're using in all of this, right?
Right.
So I think number one, though, is, so this is, okay. So everything we just said, clothing, books, papers, miscellaneous, that's the KonMari method. And I am sure there are so many other layers there, because we honestly have not read her book. We have only seen the show. Something I will say for Toast and I is that we are, I would say we are good purgers. Like, once we have a reason to purge, we're there and we can purge.
Okay.
But sometimes we need that little help, like, oh, we're moving, and then we're purging. Oh, here's mice visiting us. Okay, then we're purging, whatever it might be. We do get into moments of purging.
Wait, let's explain what that comment is about for people who don't know. Okay. Because it's not like we have a regular infestation of mice in our house, okay? We were living in a one-bedroom cottage for about 10 years.
11
years. And this was...
Or maybe it was 12.
This is an old...
12 years.
It's an old structure. It was an old structure.
Yes,
it was
but
built in the
loved that
50s, I
house.
think.
I loved it.
And in the 11th year
Can I tell you the story, though?
is when we started noticing
tell the
there's
story.
a mouse in our house.
But let me tell the story.
Okay.
So it was
for it.
Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving, and we made stuffing, and we had leftover bread cubes. And I had put the leftover bread cubes, by the front door, which also happened to be next to our old-fashioned mail slot. So in the olden days, you didn't have a mailbox. You had a mail slot, and they just people shove the mail through this slot. And I kept it by the door with the intention to throw it outside to feed the birds. I didn't. And mail got piled on to the bread cubes. But mice outside were like, I smell bread. And they crawled through our mail slot and ate the bread, and then decided, hey, we like this house. They have cat food. And they started hanging out.
But it's not like we didn't check our mail that much.
No, but it's like, you know how when you don't want to deal with like the catalogs or whatever, and you just pile it up and you just look for the
But
bills.
was it in the slot? We had a basket there?
We had a basket right outside the mail drop slot.
Okay.
So the basket, that's where the breadcrumbs went.
Okay.
And then just
Gotcha.
didn't
See,
do
you have
it.
such a good memory. I had forgotten all about that.
So anyways, but that sure helped us purge.
And that's a good object lesson, because the moral of that story is, if we had just kept up with a tidying
yeah.
process, then
we would have seen the breadcrumbs.
Right.
Yes. So anyhow, so the whole thing is about sparking joy. And in general, we're really good at purging. We don't let things collect up too much. Like, for instance, we have only been in this Portland home for a year now. And I've already done 2 purges of my closet before doing the KonMari clothes purging.
Oh,
so I've already done that.
And just clarity, so that mouse story was about 5 years ago by now, around there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure if our screen did something.
Yep.
But we're okay. So that was that mouse story. But everything that happens, that's another example of everything that happens. There's always silver lining. So even though at the time we were like, oh my God, we can't have this problem, and we did everything, and I had even like mouse phobia after a while because I felt creepy. It led us to create expansion in our lives and to know that this 1-bedroom cottage served us amazingly 11, 12 years ago, prior to that, before the mouse thing happened, but that we were really ready to stretch and spread our wings. And we did. From that point, we moved to a different place, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we were like, wow, we have all this space now.
Wow, we have 2 bathrooms now? Oh my God.
And it just felt so luxurious, and it really opened up our world for us. So anyways, silver lining there. But back to the KonMari method. So everything is about sparking joy. But I think for us, as we were purging and doing different things, it was almost like we weren't really ready for her method completely. Because if we purged everything that didn't spark joy, I'd have like 3 shirts. Maybe, I don't know. Well, spark joy is really an elevated level. So to me, it really is about keeping the useful things I actually use, as well as the few items that spark joy. And then really cultivating the habit of just purchasing what sparks joy, so that it can be both useful and spark joy. So that I don't have these 2 categories of, this is useful, but it doesn't spark joy, but it's useful, so I'm not getting rid of it. But these things spark joy. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, I think I know what you're talking about. And I think this whole idea of spark joy has to be seen in the context of this Instagrammable kind of dream life that we're now subject to on social media.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't agree. I mean, well, I think it's baby steps, right? Like, okay, so one of the useful things I have in my closet, I have a lot of useful, like being out here where it's colder in Portland, I have a lot of useful sweatshirts.
Okay.
They don't spark joy for me.
Okay.
But I can see a time for myself. I would love a time where my sweatshirts are like, oh, that sparks joy. Because look, I have this, this sweatshirt has this cute embroidery that says love, and that sparks joy for me.
Okay.
So you can have a sweatshirt just for the house that sparks joy.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be the sweatshirt with holes or stains that you don't want to be seen in.
Right. Right.
But it's useful because it keeps you warm.
Right.
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 So something I think can be both useful and spark joy if that whole concept sparks joy for you. I think not everyone. I think for you, Toast, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think for you, that's not. I think useful things spark its own joy for you because they're useful.
I think my personality is more in that side of the spectrum. Yes.
Where to me, like say the kitchen, not every kitchen pot and pan for me sparks joy. But if we had a set of really cool green ceramic frying pans that I saw at Target, that sparks joy. That
green, the color green?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It was a really nice, old-fashioned kind of green. Okay. That would spark joy. But the current pans right now don't turn me off. Like, I'm not going, oh, I hate that pan. Now, our cookie sheets, I can't stand them. Okay, like those are really bothering me.
Okay, all right.
But we need cookie sheets. So I have not replaced them with a Spark Joy cookie sheet yet. But when I do, I will purge the other ones.
Okay.
So I think there are baby steps. You can't get rid of everything yet. You know, I think we have to get into the habit of only really purchasing and using our money for things that really do spark joy. Whether they are brand new or at a thrift shop, it doesn't matter. But that the item that you are trading your energy of money for is going to give you the energy of joy.
And you know what I think is so interesting about that is being that conscious and intentional with your purchases. That is true materialism. And it's a good thing. It's good materialism. It's conscious materialism.
Yes.
And you're truly valuing the materiality of your material things.
Yes.
Versus mindlessly and compulsively acquiring more material things that you don't really value because look at how you treat them.
Yes.
You just
exactly,
want
and that's why it's
more
stuck.
and
Are you
more
just
and more,
consuming?
and you're just piling up, and it's just clutter. All it is clutter to you.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
That's a conventional understanding of materialism, but
and some people are, you know, they're addicted to spending. They want the high that
the high of the
all
purchase,
the hormone release,
the high of the new. Yeah.
And the actual buy, like I'm buying this.
Right.
So I think that's why part of her method with all the stuff, you take all the stuff and you put it so you can see all of it. That trauma is healing. Because I think it's
a wake-up
traumatic.
call. I think it's a wake-up call of like, look at your life.
My God.
For really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like that guy with the shoes. Do you remember that episode with the shoes?
Yeah, I do.
And he just collected and collected and collected to where almost all of these shoes, he actually didn't wear them. And these brand new shoes deteriorated. He was just collecting. But I have to say that this guy, he whittled it down tremendously, I think, to just a few pairs that he was actually wearing. So, anyways.
That's a lot of thoughts on tidying up.
Yes. But I really love the idea of the things that I own truly sparking joy. I love that. I really love that. And I aspire to move to this, that new materialism.
That kind of materialism.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that, I forget, it was one of those old wise Greek philosophers or something that expressed the idea of something like, you know, what true wealth is being able to be contented, truly contented with what you already have, or being contented with less. If you can cultivate your contentedness and your appreciation, your ability to appreciate, if you cultivate a really deep sensitivity to appreciation, then you're automatically making yourself wealthier because you're going to have the experience of wealth, even with supposedly small things.
Small things or less things?
Both. Small things, less things. You know, it's kind of like
things, you know. Like, I don't know if but that feels so Spartan. I know what you're saying, and yes, that is a great healing concept. But I feel like my spirit has come to be a human this life to enjoy things.
And you can enjoy them even
just
more.
Just not overboard.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is, yes, and the great thing is you can get more enjoyment out of them, not just by simply acquiring more or better or higher quality things. You can also get more enjoyment by honing and developing that spiritual and psychological muscle within yourself that has the capacity to appreciate and revel
and that's
in
her whole
that.
thing, right?
Yeah.
It really
so it
is
goes
about
both ways.
like to identify what actually sparks joy for you.
But
and
I
that
guess
the things that you have, so that the things you already have are sparking that joy. You're grateful for the things you already have. She's not talking about buying stuff. It's about whittling
Right.
what you have down to the point where you can actually have room to feel gratitude for the things you already have.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that when you have so much stuff. It's almost like, having so much, there's literally no room for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for it. You can't feel grateful for having 300 pairs of shoes. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Like, how do you cultivate gratitude for 300 pairs of shoes? It's the concept. I can't even, but the process of going, okay, you know what? I have 300 pairs of shoes here. Let me go through all of them. Yeah, I don't really love this one. I don't love that one. That one was an impulse buy. That one I just bought on sale. Oh my God. These 15 pairs of shoes, I love all of them. They all spark joy for me. And you know what? I'm going to use them so that I can feel that feeling of joy using them. Not just saving for the rainy day, saving it for a special occasion. I want to use it so I can feel this sense of sparking joy while I'm walking out on the street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And cultivating the gratitude there. So in that sense, what you're saying, he I don't know if he had 300, but he whittled it down to less,
mm-hmm.
and he could feel gratitude with less, with what he already had.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have anything to do with the amount of things.
Well, it did in the sense that he had to have less in order to truly appreciate it.
No, I mean, his gratitude, he wasn't feeling right. Like he didn't, like having a lot
mm-hmm.
didn't make him feel more joyful.
Right.
So his
mm-hmm.
collecting, like getting more,
mm-hmm.
like how you're saying, having more.
There's some kind of scientific study that
there's a benchmark, right? There's like this mark where
that
it's
says
diminishing.
that, what, money does buy happiness up till a certain income
level. Wasn't it like
level.
100, 250,000 or
something like that?
Yeah.
It's like money, people are happier the more money they have up till a certain dollar amount.
Yeah.
But beyond that dollar amount, more money does not equal more happiness.
Yes. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah. And that makes total sense because it's kind of like taste buds, right? Like just because a food is tastier
mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you're going to like it more. It needs to have just the right amount of taste. But if you've been used to having this super fatty, super salty, super sugary stuff, you're not going to have the capacity to appreciate good food.
To discern.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not just about finding food that quote unquote, sparks joy. Da, 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 da. I'm loving it. It's like, okay, that might spark joy, but should it? Right? It depends on your taste buds. So it's not just about finding what material things might automatically spark joy in you. I think it's also about having the self-awareness to cultivate your sparkometer
mm-hmm.
so that it's sensitive
mm-hmm.
enough to appreciate the truly good things.
Which
so
is
that you
so
don't
subjective.
So that you don't have to have
subjective.
super salty, super fatty, super sugary foods in order to feel a spark.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So it's from both ends.
Yeah.
That's Toast's take.
No, I totally hear what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a deeper, there's so much more to say about
I know,
this.
we're like going all deep
but we're already
here.
over 3 minutes. Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't watched the show, and if what we have shared in this podcast sparks a little something for you, watch it. It's on Netflix. It's not going to take over your life. You can fast forward through the stressful parts because those parts really did, like, I could feel my cortisol going up.
Your adrenaline was pumping.
Yeah, like, I'm like, oh my God, because I don't love chaos like that.
Right, right.
So it's like my shortness of breath. Like I was experiencing some symptoms here. So I had to fast forward through those parts. But I think you will find it enjoyable and inspiring. So watch it.
Yes, and I agree. Okay. Those are our thoughts on tidying up with Marie Kondo. Marie Kondo-san. Have fun tidying up. And until next time.
This is Sienna.
And this is Toast. Telling you, love life, live free, tidy up.